I am preoccupied now with the Torah of Atzilut, the Atzilut world, the Torah before the one that we were given and read. This Torah to me is the Torah that's given to you in the womb. And when you're in the womb, and then when you come out of the womb, the angel hits you on the lip and you forget it all, and you use the written Torah that you come out to remind you of what happened in the womb and to your natural state, your intuitive state. And this Torah of Atzilut, in a certain sense, comes from what we'll call Chokmah, because Chokmah is the relation to the Atzilut, and Bina is the relation to the Bria world. And the name that's involved in Chokmah of the divine names is Yud Hey. And this is very interesting that I personally think that the Torah of Atzilut is Yud Hey. If you do, there's a lot of gematria that we can do this, but Yud and Hey is a whole and a half. Yud is 10, Hey is 5. That's a completion of the Yud. That Yud, Hey is a Yud is masculine, and the Hey is feminine, included as its din, which is then separated out. If you do the gematria of Chokmah, it becomes 73, which is Gimel itself, which is the number 3. And then if you do the gematria of Bina, it's 67, which is the gematria of Zion, which is 7. So this extension of the 3 into the 7 is another extension of a physicality from a internal source, from a surrounding 3, because 3 is pi, and pi has to do with circles. And so what we're doing here is we're doing the Torah of Atzilut, the intuitive Torah, because Chokmah is from the eyes. And quite frankly, it's what you would call in Talmud an eyewitness. And strangely enough, you're better off when you meditate to keep your eyes open. You don't want to close those eyes, because if you close your eyes, you go off daydreaming. So it's better to have objects to focus on for your intuitive mind to act. Because you don't really think. You have to act with the focus. It's like when a car is coming at you. I'd rather be looking at the car than having my eyes closed. And then when those eyes are open and the car is coming at you, the object, you get out of the way automatically from an intuitive mind. As I've expressed, this intuitive mind also can come and it's the gut. It's the gut brain. Down below the belly, in the yesod area, in the belly area, digestion area, has its own brain, has its own mind. This is actually Chokmah. And Chokmah and Atzilut, well, I'm going to parallel the two, because there's a cross-pollination here. One of the reasons we're so right-hand consciousness is because it comes from the left brain, which is a duality. So our society wants to have this duality of right and wrong and tikkun olam and things like this. But in the right brain society, which corresponds to the left hand, which happens to be the tefillin hand, and Gevurah, this right brain society, well, it's blocked because you're not supposed to do things with the left hand. Everything with the left hand is evil. So this is the whole secret, is to open up to a balance of right and left. And as I've said many times, if you can't make the Ein Sof and accept the Sitra Akra as part of the Ein Sof, then you haven't gotten it yet. If you think there's a distinction in anything. And what happens in Atzilut world and the Torah of Atzilut is that you receive this divine flow, you see, And why? Because you're already dead. And here's my thing for today. The death instinct comes from Atzilut world and Chokmah. The life instincts come from Bria world and Bina. Death instincts come from the male. Life instincts come from the female, as expressed in children. The death instincts are actually what you call in the past. That's where you came from. You came from death into life. The life instincts are in the life. Strangely enough, Chokmah is considered the past. Bina is considered the future. And Das is considered the present. So when you're doing these things, when you're looking to the past, you see, when you're looking to the past, that's Chokmah. Like the days of old, Kadem, days of old. Because things were better then and they've become ruined. It's like we're coming out of Gan Eden. Not going back into Gan Eden. The former days were Gan Eden. And this is the whole thing. The former days were higher. They were Chokmah days. Days in the womb. Days in the testes of the man. And how do we know that the man is the death instinct? Because men go to war. Men go to war. What do they do at war? They kill people. It's part of the death instinct. And one wants to go to this, what's called homeostasis, which is an equilibrium, a rest state, before this life state of duality in the Bina world, in the feminine world. And that's why no man can really be happy in the feminine world. Walking around with kids is a papoose. And so the point is, this is the point, that the life instincts are the feminine and Bria and the Torah. But the death instincts, which are higher, according to Freud also, isn't it? We aspire towards death. We aspire towards the Torah of Atzilut. And in a certain sense, isn't that what I've been saying about die before you die? Because when you're dead, then you can receive kind of like instructions. If you have no thought, death is like no thought. No thought in the brain is Atzilut world. To eliminate thought and just act. And that's that samurai thing. That he just acts. He doesn't think of consequence. So he understands he's dead. And how to use that death instinct and go back to the death instinct, back to the quiet. And so these are preliminary thoughts. But one other thing about the word Yah, if you do Yud, the full gematria is 466. If you do Hey, it's Hey Aleph. This is when you do Yud, Vav, Dal. Hey Aleph, that's 117. That's 583 plus two letters, Yud and Hey, two terms, and one for all, so it's 586. Now, 586 just happens to be the gematria for Yesod. It's also the gematria of Yerushalayim. Yesod fully spelled out. Yerushalayim and Shofar. It's one of these amazing gematria. And that's in the Yah. And so this is the Chokmah consciousness. And Chokmah consciousness is the closest thing we have to the Torah of Atzilut. And there's a beauty. Because that's when you have what you do is you receive, and then what you don't receive, then you check it in the books. Then you look into the Torah. But you're a receiver, that's Kabbalah. You're a receiver, And if you don't hear the voice of God on a particular occasion, then you check it in the books and the halakha. But if you do, then you're responsible to do what you hear. And Mordecai Leiner of the Ipitza Hasidim, they said this. But this is of all Hasidist stuff. You're supposed to do it naturally. This is a natural lick. Like a person plays tennis. It's natural. So you're supposed to do these things so that you can be a receiver. That's the whole idea of meditation. It's the whole idea of religion. It's the whole idea to hear. How to hear. And how to see. You see? How to clear the mind of thought. Of this dualistic thought. And we go on.